Hey everyone, happy Monday. I am back here talking to you about building homes. So every Monday, I'm giving you a new build update, whether it is information I'm finding out from our builders that we work with, or just information on how to build a home. With the weather changing and definitely feeling a little like fall, some people are thinking of potentially building a house to move in for next year. Now, building a home takes anywhere from 6 to 12 months. It depends on the builder, depends on the weather, depends on COVID. Everything affects the process. Now, some of you guys are looking at building your dream home and you're living in a house right now and you're wondering if you should sell that house before you buy and build the next one. You need to check with your mortgage broker because sometimes you actually need to sell your house before in order to qualify for the mortgage. Now, when you write an offer on a new build house, you need to have an unconditional sale. For most builders, they don't want to see it pending sale of buyer's home. So if you have a question about that, send me a message. But today I wanted to talk to you about choosing a builder. How do you choose a builder? There are so many builders out there, and it's interesting because we have sold a lot of new build homes with our clients in the last couple of years. And so we're very familiar with the different inner workings of each builder. Now, when I talk about builders, I'm also talking about our specific reps. So you'll see down below the builders that we primarily do our business with. Now, the interesting thing is that not all sales reps are alike depending on the builder. So we have an amazing rep with Pacesetter Homes. Billy is our go-to person. I'm not endorsing by any means that you go walk into any Pacesetter show home and talk to the sales rep there. That experience will be very different from what I am telling you about with Billy. So when I'm talking about Pacesetter, I am talking specifically about her contact, her specific person. When I talk about Dolce Vita, Coventry Homes, and Sterling, I have specific people that we work with in order to give that experience to my clients and give that deal, the deals that we can get for you comes from a specific sales rep at the builder. So please make sure you understand I'm not endorsing the entire company and all those that work in there. There's so many different reps that work with each builder. So why do we do that? Builder contacts and cross-selling. So what is cross-selling? A rep in, like, let's say take for example, Billy, her show homes are situated out of Rosenthal. It does not mean she only builds in Rosenthal. We have just helped a client get a home in Newcastle that she helped us design and work with. We have sold houses in Southeast, West, and Pacesetter is one of the largest builders and has land almost in every new area possible. Different builders have different locations of land. So if you're looking to move in a specific location, you're gonna have to work with who's in there. So when you're thinking about choosing a builder, think about the locations that you're considering. What's more important? Is the specific location really important, or working with that builder really important? When you're choosing a builder, some of the tips that I would give you is I would make sure you don't get distracted by the show home. Try not to think and assume that because the show home wowed you, this is the builder you need to go with. You have to keep in mind that every builder can build whatever layout that you like. So if you like a layout from here, you could probably build it here. Now it depends. Some builders are custom, some are semi-custom, and then some are just straight up, this is what you get. You can pick A, B, or C, and that's all there is. So you want to make sure you don't get distracted by the show home. They're going to put all the best features in there. Now, don't forget too, that if the show home doesn't show well, you probably should stay away from that builder because their show homes need to be like their best showcase of their product. When I take you in to look at a builder maybe that we're not familiar with, I will show you the little inner workings, the little things to look out for when you're looking in the home. Little details make a big impression. If the details aren't taken care of properly in a show home, how is your home going to be taken care of in the build process? So that's the final product, but you also want to make sure that you talk to the different show homes and the sales reps to figure out what their experience is going to be. What is that experience going to be? How are they going to help you put your dream onto paper? What is their experience? How many years have they been doing it? It's so important because anybody can take a plan and manipulate it. but not anybody knows what it looks like. And so if you don't know who you're working with, and then you end up building something and modifying it to fit what you think looks good, I'll give you an example. If we built the house that me and Curtis planned, it would not be so nice. We tried doing it ourselves and looked at Billy's plans, and hers were much better. And we live in a house that she custom designed, and I have no regrets of the layout or anything like that. So that's so important. Make sure your sales rep has that experience. I love that she has little things to figure out, making sure that our furniture fits, making sure that our vehicle fits, because the garages have become a lot smaller these days. And so you want to make sure that on scale wise, everything can fit, and you're not moving into this house realizing it's not everything that you wanted. When you work with me as well, I go through a list with you to make sure we check off all the boxes, to make sure we've checked everything, to see that you've incorporated everything you want in that new build. It's really important when you're working with a new home build that they're being patient. If you're looking at something that's just a cookie cutter plan, then you don't have that kind of flexibility. So take a what is it called? Examine those features and importance levels to you when you're picking a builder. Each builder has its different features. There are some builders that throw things at you and say, oh, you're going to get solar panels. Oh, you're going to get this. But okay, that's great. But what is the quality like? What are the people's knowledge that works with the company like? Because a solar panel is not that expensive. And do I really need one solar panel on my roof? I'd rather get better quality, knowing that product is going to be better more than 2-3 years. I have seen some homes. We have sold some homes that haven't been around very long, but have looked a lot more worn. These are like certain builders, right? So you want to know the builders to stay away from and the ones to really seriously consider. When you're building a home as well, make sure you do a big checklist. I really like this. So go check out Houzz, HOUZZ.com. Go on your phone, download the app. This is a dangerous app. It is like Pinterest, but only it's for a house. So I love sharing albums with my clients so that we set up an account and them and I can share and pin ideas so we can get an idea. And you can do this even before you look at your homes in terms of what you're liking, what style you're liking. We can then figure out a proper budget. So I say dangerous because you can get very carried away and end up spending way more than you actually want. However, it's really good for us to see. It's really good for myself and the sales rep to see, so we can give you realistic expectations of what your house would cost. When you go into a show home and you fall in love with that house and they tell you the price and they tell you the price of their base model, you think, oh, I could probably make it work. But you don't know all the inner workings in between. Now, each builder does price their upgrades differently. I have seen that. Certain things cost more with some builders and less with another builder. That doesn't necessarily mean the builder is better or worse. There's different things and inner workings that we don't see. A lot of their specifications of what they build, most builders have obviously a code they have to follow. So HRV is standard. Radon pipe in the basement is standard. Those are all code items, but there's other different specifications in terms of the building practice that each builder does differently. And it's a big, long list of things. So if you ever want to know about that, you can ask me and I can give you the little breakdown. I have done builder comparisons for our clients so they could see dollar for dollar and apple to apple versus apple and orange, because when you see all the marketing come at you and the different quotes, they all look different. So you might be buying a new build or thinking about new build. It doesn't mean that those come in at the same. It's not like they're going to say, here's your upgrade list and here's your number. Here's your upgrade list from this builder and here's your number. You can just compare and see which one is less or more. Not so much, because some builders include certain things that won't be in the upgrade list and some don't. So I make a very clear-cut comparison sheet so that you can see what is going on in that sense. Other things in terms of when you're choosing a builder, think about their reputation. Don't take too much of the word of the interwebs, because we all know the interwebs like to have all the trash talk on there. What you want to do is talk to professionals that have worked with the builders, talk with other consumers that you trust, not just people who make a big fuss. So we do have a list of that, and because our office, we have a couple hundred active top producing agents, we all share in terms of our good and bad experiences, and it's really important to know that too. So you are thinking about the builder in terms of their layouts, their location, their sales reps, right? But don't forget, during the build process, you're also working with the super and their customer service after you buy the house. So you want to make sure that now you don't really get to interview the supers or the customer service, but someone like myself can give you insight on that process in terms of which builders have been known to be kind of more stand-up quality that you'll be happy with. Those are things that people aren't always thinking about, but you want to think about that as well, because that's super important. Those are the people in charge of actually building the house, and then actually helping you with services after you've moved into the property. How likely are people going to come back to your house? Is it like pulling teeth to get consumer, like the warranty department to come out? Now, keep in mind, this last year, it's been kind of a nightmare because of the unpredictability of the market and also because of the pandemic and then the water. So don't forget, with weather, our Edmonton weather does delay things a lot. A lot of people put a lot of, they always think, well, the builder says 7 months, I'm going to get my house in 7 months. It's not always the case. There's things that we can't control, like the weather. This year, we had so much rain, it delayed everything. Even my clients who purchased a home and then they didn't have a driveway forever or a garage forever because they have to actually wait for the land to be dry enough. And guess what? There's a big list of people that are also waiting. Some people even from last season that haven't gotten their stuff yet because, again, our Edmonton weather is not super conducive to predictability for building construction. So you want to give a little bit of grace and understand what you're getting yourself into when building a house. Some of the other things you want to consider other than the House app is you also want to consider the different layouts. Just keep track of those layouts. In the House app, you can actually take pictures and put them in there. And if you share with us the layouts that you like, we can find the best fit for you. And for the other side, the financing side of building a house, it works very differently. You cannot hold an interest rate like you do in resale. In resale, you can hold a rate up to 120 days. Well, if you do the math, that's 4 months. A build takes a lot longer than 4 months, unless you're buying a house that's already almost built or spec'd out. Because when you're building, you could purchase a home that's kind of half built or at construction hold. But most people, when we're talking about building a house, are building from scratch. So you need, and they hold the interest rates at a lot higher rate. But when it gets down to the 4 months mark, they can then hold the current rate at that stage then for your build. So when you talk to the mortgage broker, let them know you are wanting to build a home, because that conversation will be very different than if you were just telling them that you're buying a house. If you're just buying a house, they're going to assume that you're buying a resale home, and it's a completely different process. They'll be able to let you know if you do need to sell your house first or what you need in order to have unconditional approval. What does that mean? If they approve you to keep your home while you're building this house, what kind of risk are you taking? The risk that you're taking is that you could be holding 2 mortgages, potentially, if your house didn't sell. We do recommend that you put your house on the market if you have the flexibility to put it on at the end of the framing stage so that you have the time to sell the house, but then you still are not going to hopefully have to move twice. You can't always work that out. Right now, when we sold our house last year, it was a buyer's market. We wanted to sell in May when it was the busiest time and make sure we had a sale instead of just potentially hold 2 properties. So we ended up being homeless for about 2 weeks. So we try to work things out. The best time to sell your house, barring that there's no pandemic, usually typically is May. So April, May is the time to put your house on the market. So if you are thinking of building right now, and we go through that preliminary process, the preliminary process can take any time from 1 month to 5 months. It depends on how much time you want to build and custom. We recommend about a month where you sit down and figure all that inner workings of your house out, figure out the price. They have to go back and forth and ask for pricing a lot of times, and then we can put an offer in. We want to make sure all your upgrades are in that offer so you can get the discount on the whole package. Once you've removed conditions and then you add things after the fact, there's nothing that can be done. It just has to be paid dollar for dollar. So my goal is to get you all that stuff done preliminary before, get the offer written. So you got that month time. Then you got 2 weeks to remove conditions for financing. It goes to your mortgage broker. You get all that done. Now we're looking in at about a month and a half from now. So today is the end of August. So we're looking in at the middle of October. So you're not going to get your house probably until August of next year. So that's actually perfect, because if you want to sell your house in May, you can sell your house in May and have a longer possession so that you can get your house in August. So right now is like actually the best time to look at building a house if you're looking at selling next spring. Anytime now to probably now to the end of the year is a really good opportunity to really consider the deals. Now, deals, I have to tell you this. I told you this in the other videos if you watched before. There's a little bit of a land block. Now, there's some land coming up in Rosenthal, I do know that, but there's not as much land as they had anticipated because developers figured with the pandemic, they're not going to develop as much land for building. And so we've got a little less lack. Now, careful what the builders tell you. They all tell you different things, and I want to make sure you're getting the truth. So I appreciate you watching. If you have any more questions, we'll talk again next Monday. Comment below any questions. I'll answer them next week for you, or if they can't wait, you know how to reach me. Send me a message, give me a call, and I'll talk to you then. Talk to you guys later. Bye.